Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Medeek Wall plugin. My name is Nathaniel P. Wilkerson, and today I wanted to discuss over-the-post handrails. So let's go ahead and throw down a stairwell just to get started here. So we'll go ahead and load that menu up, and we're going to go ahead and turn on our advanced options, and then let's turn on handrails. Okay, so first things you're going to notice when you open the handrail menu now is you have 5 additional options. You have a handrail extension top, bottom, a rail drop, and a handrail fitting top and bottom. Okay, so we're going to use all of these new parameters here in this video, but let's just go ahead and leave those as default. Let's just start right here at the corner and put a staircase in, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off the code tag or layer. I'm just going to shift this over here 4 feet. Okay, so there's a typical straight stairway. So let's go ahead and edit that now, and we'll start working with the. Let's go ahead and turn that handrail on. I guess I didn't turn it on initially. And we're going to go ahead and use the very standard 60-10 profile. Okay. So you can see what that profile looks like. And so right now I only have fittings for this specific profile. It's the 60-10. And by the way, there are not actual fittings manufactured for some of these other profiles. I think the 6000, 6001 series is kind of more of a square shape. And actually, I don't think there actually are specific profiles made, but there are other profiles made for these other, or fittings made for these other profiles, and the 6010 of course is the most common. So that's what I have available right now in the built-in library that I've added. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that. I'm going to turn that color to something a little different here. Let's just say green, and I'm going to change it up a little bit just because I want to be able to have better visibility on that. So just lighten that up a little bit. There we go. Just kind of jumps out at you. Okay, so the thing I really want to go over here is not your typical return or post-to-post handrail, but I want to actually get into the over-the-post. So you'll notice here that I've gotten rid of the OTP 1 and 2, and now I just have over-the-post option for the handrail ends. And that's because I've actually added in a bunch of fittings. So without any fittings turned on, you're going to see it terminating like that, and you're going to see it terminating like this. Okay, so that's pretty typical. And then let's go ahead and add in, let's say at the bottom here, I'm going to add in a volute. Okay, so that's a 70-30. And by the way, the reason why I know what all these are is because I've been working with them enough, obviously, but part of it is what I'd have is, well, let's take a look at this real quick. So here in the library of the wall plugin, you're going to find handrail and handrail fittings, 2 separate subfolders. So handrail will have all of your profiles. And I apologize, the images aren't centered very good, so you really can't see them that well. But yeah, if you need to take a look at those files, you can always open those up. In fact, you could modify them as well, and you can actually add your own profiles into this subfolder so that the plugin will actually load them up. So the HD version is a slightly higher resolution, more polygon, more edges, I guess is the right word, than the default 6010. And the plugin actually uses the 6010 for all of the built-in fittings, but you have the option for the HD version if you want that. I think it's a little bit heavyweight myself. Okay, so let's look at the handrail fittings folder. So in here, now this is my source folder where I actually have generated all these things. So you're not going to find all these subfolders within your extension, but you will find the gooseneck and the volute subfolders, and you'll probably find the other as well. So within the volute, you will find all of the fittings that are used at the bottom of the handrail. So different turns and volutes and turnouts, they call them, and also some angled pieces and just some straight termination type pieces. Okay, and then in the gooseneck one, you're going to find all the ones that terminate basically the top of the handrail, right? Now these are a little hard to view. I made them small, the images, on purpose. That's by design, and the reason is because by doing that, I'm actually saving space for these SketchUp component files. A downside, of course, is they're kind of hard to view. But if you're unfamiliar with the fitting names themselves, which it's tough to know them just by the numbers, I probably will at some point add in like a little preview sort of window or something. I'm thinking about that. But also, I would turn your attention to LJ Smith's website, which is really good. It's ljsmith.com. Under their literature product catalogs, there's a little pamphlet here that will show you basically what all these typical fittings look like. Okay. And so if you need to know what those numbers are, yeah, that's kind of your little cheat sheet. So just a quick preview of that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see what we're going to do here. So on this other end, at the bottom now, I've added the 7030 volute. And at the top here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a gooseneck. And I think what I'll do is I will add, let's say the 7081. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's go update on that. Okay. So there you go, and that typically has like a balustrade, or not a baluster, a post right there, and then this of course terminates with a post as well. You'll see that there's like a 3/4 inch hole, 1 1/8 inch deep, so you can lay out your stairwell and your post. Okay, so basically that is that. Now we're going to get into all these other parameters, but that is basically. The cool thing that I've added here is that now you can add fittings at the tops and the bottoms. And before it was kind of hard coded in where you had the gooseneck at the top, but now you can add in different variations of that. And as you can see, there are quite a few possibilities, and there also are quite a few possibilities for the bottom as well. All right. So let's talk about this rail drop. So rail drop, what that does is, like, let's say that we go with 6 now. Now watch what happens to that gooseneck up on top. That by default, that gooseneck is 13 inches high, and actually that's the manufacturer's default size or length. Now we can also change where this terminates, right? So if we change, and we can put positive and negative numbers here for the extension. So I'm going to put in a -6, and that's going to shorten the top extension. And you see it just shifted. It didn't move the height of the actual rail. It just shifted where it terminates at the end. And the same thing applies, of course, at the bottom here. We could put in 6, or we could put in -6, or we could do whatever number you want. So that extends it further out. Let's try -4. And you can just leave it at 0. So you have a lot of control with the handrail in the positioning. Now the clearance will control it in the Y direction, right? How far it is from the wall, or how far it is from the edge of the stairs here. So you can control that. You also can control the handrail height. And then, like I said, you can extend top and bottom, and then you have that rail drop. So basically the 5 new parameters here, well, the 3 here give you the dimensional control, and then of course the 2 at the bottom here give you the fittings top and bottom. All right, so now let's make things a lot more interesting, and we're going to edit this. Actually, I already am editing it. We're going to turn on a landing here. So if I turn on this landing to an L-shaped landing, and then hit update. Okay, so the first thing you notice is like, well, what's going on here? We got this other handrail, right? That's totally different from this one, and that's because originally the way I had this programmed was once you had a handrail set up, with these options, that was kind of globally applied to any handrails. But the problem with that is if we globally apply these same settings down here, you're going to have a volute here and you're going to have a volute there at the landing, and that's not going to work. And so that is why we now, if you turn on a landing option with the handrails on, you will now have 2 handrail options. So you'll have the lower and the upper. Okay, so the handrail option 1 is up on top, and handrail option 2 is down below. So let's go ahead, and it's going to take me a little second here. For people that like to really dive into the details and fiddle with these things, I mean, people are going to love this. But for those of us that don't want to do that as much, I mean, maybe it's more work maybe than we bargained for, but I think it gives us a lot of control. So I think you'll find this useful in that regard. Let's go ahead and just use 7081 on this one as well. I think that'll work. Okay, so, and then I'm going to turn that volute off to just none for the middle one, and then I'm going to hit update. Okay, so now you can see we've got kind of something going on here. So now what we got to do is, what these parameters will also do now is actually adjust this, both of these handrails until we can get them exactly where we need them to be, right? Okay, so assuming, of course, that this one here is where we want it to be, right? I mean, basically, if we want these to match, we've got to adjust both of them. But first things first, I'm going to get these to match, what I'm going to do is I want to kind of drop this one down, because otherwise I don't have enough gooseneck here, you know, it'll be too short. So what I can do is I'll just take and measure from the corner right here over to this corner. Okay, and I can see I got to go in 5 inches. So I'm going to do a -5 on the extension on the bottom one. So we'll come down here to the top side of that handrail, and we're going to use a -5, right? And that's going to shift that way, right? Okay, let's get rid of that dimension. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I can see that, oh, I zoomed in a little too much here. This what they call easement, it's easing out too far, you know, get past this. So what we can do is we can measure here, we can measure there, and we can see we need to come back 3.5 inches, right? So now that is the top handrail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottom of it and send it back up the stairs 3.5 inches. So that -4 minus 3.5, that's, what is that, -7.5, right? So we'll go ahead and hit that. Update on that. Okay, so now we've got those lined up. So now we just got to adjust the rail drop itself. Okay, so we'll get rid of that dimension. And then I'm going to just measure from here to here, and we can see it's 3.25 inches. So we need to adjust our rail drop on the bottom rail, and right now it's set at 13, and I want to go, let me get my calculator out just to make sure I get this right. I can do it in my head, but I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so 9.75, right? Okay, so let's change our rail drop here to 9.75. Okay. And that should line us up. Okay, I'm going to delete that dimension. All right. So as you can see, you know, we could, I mean, there's lots of adjustments we could still make. We can play with where this volute pops out and all that. We can send it back up the stairs a little bit. Maybe it's coming out too far in this case. Let's see if that is the case. We can change this bottom handrail position. Let's go -2, for instance, and see what that does. Okay, that just brings it up the stairs a little bit. And the same thing goes up here. Like if this is extending too far back, we can go here and we can adjust. I think we have the extension at -6. Maybe we want to set it to -4. And that sends it that way. So, you know, there's lots of adjustments that one can make. So you basically have adjustments for each handrail separately, right? And so now you can see that we've got ourselves a situation here where the handrail is continuous all the way up the stairwell. And that's exactly what we want. Okay, one limitation of this, though, is that now you'll notice we only have a handrail on the left side of both of these stairwells. If we do the right side, that's fine. But if we do both sides, what happens is when you do both sides of the handrail on both sides, it will be symmetrical. So it will apply this same handrail configuration on the other side, exactly the opposite. Now that may work or that may not work exactly, but that is one limitation because right now I don't have a way where you can separately and independently change the handrail on the right hand side and on the left hand side. So if you do both sides, it's basically going to take whatever's on the left hand and copy it to the right hand. And that will be how it works. Okay, so let's not worry about that right now. What we're going to do now is one last thing. We're going to show you what happens now if we go to a landing a second landing. Okay, so we're going to turn on another L-shaped landing. We're going to move the landing location up, let's say to position 10, and we're going to, let's say, change this to position 4. Just kind of have, so got an equal amount of stairs up on all these landings. Let's go ahead and update that. Okay, so now, again, we've got another handrail here, right? The cool thing is, though, and you'll see, too, that you've got another option for handrail 3. So we'll just go ahead and very quickly now, because we have lower numbers, we'll go over the post. We'll change that to the same material. And then what we can do is because these numbers should not change from landing to landing, really, we can copy these extensions, -5, -2, okay, and our rail drop should be the same. I'm going to use a 781, the same one there, and then a 730. Where's our 730 here? And then I'm going to turn off the 730 at the, so we've got a 781, a 781, and none, okay. And then if we hit update on that, that should line up, but doesn't quite line up. Oh, right, we need to do one last thing, I think. The extension on the top. Let's see here, where were we? We came extension top. We need to change the, I'm trying to remember now which one it is. We've got so many parameters here. Yeah, okay, so we've made that a 5, and then -2, and then -7.5. That's right. Aha. Okay, I think what -7.5 is what we actually needed here. Extension on the bottom. Yes, that's right. Okay. So as you can see, now that we have the parameter or the measurements, we can kind of just, we can get the next ones for the handrail 3 and make it all work, because we just kind of have to copy what we've got going on. And as you can see now, we've got a continuous handrail all the way on a 2 landing kind of a U-shaped stairwell here. And this is what's your typical kind of over the post handrail. All right, I think that's about it. I just wanted to show you guys that that's kind of how you go about creating these handrails. Of course, there are a few limitations again. If you need to have handrails on both sides, you know, you may have to do little manual modifications. But I think this will help people get some of these more complicated stairwells put together a little easier. And at some point, I'm going to probably look at the balustrades and that sort of thing. But that's you know, that's not high on the list at the very moment. But I just want to show you guys how exactly you can use these parameters now to do complicated handrail situations like this, or you know, there's way more variations that you can come up with, but this is just one of many. So anyways, hopefully this is helpful, and if you have any suggestions or would like to see additional features or ideas on how to make this even better, please let me know, and I will always take everything under consideration. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Thank you.